Welcome back, baseball fans, as we continue our Legends in the Making playthrough. We are all the way up to 1972 opening day against Philadelphia Phillies. We are trying to go 3 in a row on the World Series. We have had 3 solid seasons. The pitching staff has been phenomenal with us, and we will once again be seeing Bob Gibson, Tommy John, Jim Palmer, Catfish Hunter leading the way. Bunning and Necro and Jim Bibby and Charlie Huff are all in the bullpen, along with the amazing Jim Brewer, who's been great closing out games. Our lineup right now is going to be, to start the season, Lou Brock out in left, Jesus Alou in right, Roberto Clemente in center, Tony Perez at first, Steve Garvey at third, Gene Tennis at catcher. Ron Say is going to get to play at short his rookie season, first full rookie year. He played 9 games last year. And then Maury Wills will wrap up the lineup at second base. So that's our starting lineup as we go into this 1972 season, hopefully having another solid year. Now, when we look at the Hall of Fame, Stan Musial was the only one to get in first year, 99% of the vote. Bobby Doerr is so close. Manny Minoso almost got in as well. Lino Donoso, I don't know how he's not getting in. Diomedes Olivo, it's so disappointing that he's not doing better. He dominated for a stretch in the 40s and 50s, but I guess he just kind of petered out a little too much. Couldn't quite get to the 200 wins. Strikeouts dried up a little bit. His WAR, I thought he would for sure be there. He was always up in near the top. Don Larson, some notable names that got dropped. George Kell, Pee Wee Reese after 6 years. So we will see what happens in the future. Robin Roberts is on there for the first time. I don't know that he will have what it takes to get there because he did just struggle off and on. Came out of the bullpen at different times. He ended up with 212 wins, 1,700 strikeouts, a 51 WAR. I mean, it's kind of like Diomedes Olivo, but he doesn't have the same dominant seasons that Olivo had, I don't think, and he didn't get a Cy Young like Olivo. So it'll be interesting to see how those two, if either one can make the Hall of Fame. But with that being said, we are going to kick off this 1972 season and see where it takes us. Well, this season we're playing well, but we are not able to keep up with the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Mets are being led by Rod Carew, Bobby Mercer with 22 home runs in a season that is not for hitting. Tom Seaver is also leading the way in a strong rotation. And the Pirates being led by Jim Wynn and Pete Rose and Frank Robinson. Bill Buckner's in there, but Sandy Koufax is near unhittable in the season. Now, he retired after 1966, but he ended with these phenomenal seasons. And again, the way I have this set up, if you want to do it yourself, if you turn off where they retire at real historical times, you may want to turn on player development. I don't want to at this point in the season in the simulation because I want to keep things the same. But then he would actually possibly be great. But otherwise, he's pitching at that same level for the rest of his career. And more so, 1972 was one of the worst hitting seasons in the history of the live ball era. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of dominance. I mean, he's already at 261 wins and 3,800 strikeouts. This guy is going to put up numbers like none other. But we're doing well ourselves. We just don't have the hitting. We don't have any power. So we're not scoring runs, even though we're hitting the ball okay. We're stealing bases. It's just not working for us. Our pitching staff's been great, though. So when we look at the leaders, Cleveland's 9 games up over the Red Sox, the only above 500 team in the AL East. The Twins are 12 up on the Rangers, and it's just because they're doing even better. The Mets and the Pirates are in a tight one here. I don't know that we're going to be able to get into it. Who knows? We might. But the Dodgers, Braves, Astros, Reds, Giants are all in a tight pennant race in the NL West. When we look at the leaders in the AL, Ted Simmons has a 348 average. Billy Williams hitting 21 home runs and 79 RBIs, along with his 296 average. Joe Morgan has 37 stolen bases. Dick Allen with a 951 OPS. Bobby Grich, a 5.6 WAR. Walt Williams with 25-game hitting streak. Bob Bruce at 1.66 ERA. Juan Pizarro and Rick Rochelle with 12 wins apiece. Nolan Ryan, the Ryan Express is making his way with 169 strikeouts. Fergie Jenkins is at 137, and Don Sutton, 3 big-time pitchers right there. Dave Giusti at 20 saves, and Doc Ellis with 4.9 pitcher WAR, but not showing up. He's 6-9. That's a shame. Joe Torre's leading the league in batting in the NL, hitting .325, besting Pete Rose and Lou Brock. Frank Robinson has 25 home runs. Aaron has hit his 600th. He's up to 623 now, and he's over 2,000 RBI. So he is probably going to surpass his career mark in that, possibly in runs. We'll see if he gets there in home runs. We've got Frank Robinson leading the way as well in 64 RBIs. Lou Brock with 27 stolen bases. Robinson with a 914 OPS. You can see how pitching's dominating both leagues with that number. Robinson is a 5.7 WAR. Roy White with 19-game hitting streak. Koufax at .65. Second place is Catfish Hunter at 2. That is insane. Koufax with 17 wins. Palmer with 15. Seaver with 183 strikeouts, though. Koufax at 175. Tug McGraw has 18 saves. And Jim Brewer's there at 14. Koufax with a 7.7 WAR. This is gonna be a record-setting season for him. When we look at the All-Stars in the AL, our starters are going to be Paul Splitorf, 68 strikeouts, 2.24 ERA, and 8-6 is besting Fergie Jenkins and Don Sutton. Interesting. Dave Juicy with Minnesota is the closer. Thurman Munson for Oakland for catcher. Dick Allen at first. Joe Morgan at second. Darrell Evans at third with 16 home runs. Bert Campaneris, again, only 12 stolen bases, though, at short. Billy Williams in left. Reggie Jackson in center. He only has 9 home runs at the moment. And Ken Berry in right field, hitting .300. Walt Williams is better in all the metrics except WAR, but is not getting the start, unfortunately for him. In the NL, Gibson and Hunter both make it for us, and so does Jim Brewer, but Sandy Koufax, deservedly so, gets the start. Tom Hall gets the start at closer. That one I don't think is deservedly so. You can see in everything outside of case per 9. Brewer deserves that one. Joe Torre at catcher again. Hank Aaron at first. Ron Blomberg is having a heck of a season at the plate. Davey Johnson at second. Richie Hebner at third. Chris Spear at short. We have entered the shortstops not hitting much, although he does have 10 home runs. Chris Spear, or we said Cesar Cedeno in left, beating Pete Rose out for that one. Roy White in center, and Frank Robinson in right field. How is Frank doing? He's at 36. He's up to 437 home runs, 1,400 RBI, lots of all-stars. Is Willie Mays still playing, I wonder, for the Reds? He is. He's got 6 home runs there. He's hitting .227, so his time's almost up. He did finish hitting .288, though, last year. I don't know that he's going to get to 700 home runs, but these other numbers are insane. He did not get the stolen bases. 338 in real life, 362. So he did best himself, actually. A 170 WAR. Just give him that Hall of Fame plaque as soon as he retires. Why make him wait? That's crazy. 7 MVPs. All right, so let's take us to the end of this season. I don't know if we'll be seeing us in the World Series or the playoffs or not, but we'll find out. Well, the season, we finished really, really well. We made a run. It came down to 2 games against the Pirates at the end. We were not able to win. We won one of them. It was the last game, but it wasn't enough. So we finished 2 games out. The Pirates ended up playing the Astros in the NLCS, while Cleveland eked out over the Red Sox, held them off going against the unstoppable Twins in the ALCS. And it turns out Cleveland dethroned 3-1 over the Twins, and the Pirates won 3-2 over the Astros. Could the Pirates make it a perfect run still in the World Series in the simulation? And they could not. So Cleveland ends up with their 5th championship, first since 1968. The Pirates in 1966 were there, so I'm sure the Pirates under Koufax will probably make another run pretty soon, or they will get close. If we can't stop them, then I don't know what else will happen. But Cleveland, good job to them. We have some more winners up there. Now, whenever we look at the final season results, Ralph Garr and Ted Simmons tied for the AL batting lead. Dick Allen and Johnny Bench tied for the home run championship. Dick Allen and Billy Williams tied for the RBI. So lots of ties here. Joe Morgan had 65 stolen bases, which might be a record in what we've done. Dick Allen with a 939 OPS. Bobby Grich with a 9-1 WAR. Walt Williams with 25-game hitting streak. Johnny Antonelli, a 2.12 ERA. Bob Moore with 19 wins. Nolan Ryan setting the pace with 280 strikeouts, well ahead of Rudy May and Don Sutton. Pete Richard with 31 saves, and Doc Ellis at a 7.5 WAR. In the NL, Pete Rose took home the batting title over Torrey and Lou Brock, but it's nice to see Brock doing well. Hank Aaron, 48 home runs, a massive season. He had, I think, 30 in 1972 in reality, so he is playing catch-up there a little bit. Frank Robinson was second. Aaron tied with Bobby Mercer with 102 RBIs, the only ones to break 100 RBI in the National League, and only two others in the American League did it. Lou Brock with 50 stolen bases, bringing his total up to 399. So he should pass the 400 mark next year. Frank Robinson with a 911 OPS. This is just so much lower than it has been. Cesar Cedeno with an 8.4 WAR. Roy White, 19-game hitting streak held up. Koufax came back down to earth a little bit. Only had a 1.2 ERA to claim the crown. 26 wins, but he did not get the Triple Crown. He missed out by 7 strikeouts. Tom Seaver took it there. Jim Palmer did tie with 26 wins, though, and we had Bob Gibson up there with 231 strikeouts. Jim Brewer got second in saves behind Tub McGraw, who had 29. Koufax with a 10.5 WAR. There again is Gibson. And just to show you where Gibson's at career-wise, almost 3,200 strikeouts and 84 WAR, 242 wins. Koufax, even more impressive when we take a look at his, 39-70 in strikeouts, 112 WAR, 270 wins. He has led the league 9 times in WAR, 5 times in wins, 6 times in ERA, once in losses. Who would have thought? And in walks. But then it's just been ridiculous there. It's amazing. So that's where we're at. Let's check out the awards for this year. And then we'll do the first year player draft to see who's coming in. There are some big names coming into this draft, it looks like. So AL Gold Glove winners go to Johnny Antonelli and Johnny Bench. The Johnnies take it again. Bob Oliver at first. Ron Theobald at second. Ed Spezio at third. Bert Campaneris at short. Johnny Briggs, Rick Miller, and Bernie Carbo in the outfield. The NL go to Wilbur Wood, Clay Dalrymple, Ed Goodson, Brooks Robinson again at second, Bill Melton at third, Bud Harrelson at short, and the outfield goes to Cesar Cedeno, Roberto Clemente, and John Wolchik. Clemente is picking up his 4th one, so he's winning in right and in center now. 2 MVPs as well. And then in the AL, reliever of the year unanimously goes to Darryl Knowles, 15-8 with 22 saves, 2.56 ERA. NL goes to Tug McGraw, beating out Jim Brewer. It's deserved for him. I still think Brewer has been, he's got 1 reliever of the year, but I think he was deserving on a couple of these other ones as well. But the voters did not see fit to do that. Silver Sluggers in the AL go to Johnny Bench, Dick Allen, Joe Morgan, Darrell Evans. Morgan, what's he up to in stolen bases? 327. So he's doing really well, and that's just an amazing. I mean, look at his abilities. That's insane. Billy Williams in left, Willie Davis in center, and Bernie Carbo in right. Only look at these home run totals for outfielders. They were 14 and 13 home runs. NL go to Ron Bryant, who hit 310 as a pitcher. Joe Torre, Hank Aaron. Torre has had a heck of a career. He's going to make a run at the Hall of Fame, it looks like. Hank Aaron at first. Rod Carew, first of probably many. Richie Hebner, Chris Spears, Cesar Cedeno, Bobby Mercer, and Frank Robinson. Those home run totals are more what you would expect to see from outfielders, I feel like. In the AL, we've got Cliff Johnson beating out John Curtis for Rookie of the Year. He hit 24 home runs, 81 RBI, 266 average, and a WAR of 5.5. In the NL, the Rookie of the Year is going to Gary Maddox. 17 first place votes to John Mayberry, 7. Maddox had 19 home runs, 70 RBIs, 268, and a 5.1 WAR. In the Cy Young race, Don Sutton takes the crown for the Tigers. 18 wins, 220 strikeouts, 2.33 ERA. John Curtis picked up 1 for Cleveland. And Koufax, of course, unanimously, no surprise there. Palmer, Hunter, Gibson, all getting some votes. MVPs in the AL go to Bobby Grich, 17 first place votes. The second baseman out of Minnesota, beating out Johnny Bench. 3 first place votes for Dick Allen at the Red Sox. He's another one. He's had just a solid, steady career. Would have been great to have him. In the NL, Koufax. So we have our pitcher winning the MVP for the first time in a very long time, beating out Frank Robinson. But I would say that's deserved. Well done, sir. Jim Palmer got some points. Brock and Gibson both got some for us as well as Catfish Hunter. But that is a well-deserved one. Now, when we go to the first-year player draft, we are going to be drafting 23rd. We did not sign Cordell Washington last time, so we get 23rd and 24th picks. Unfortunately, all the good ones are going to be gone, but we have Fred Lynn, Robin Yount, Pedro Guerrero, Keith Hernandez, Eddie Murray, Dave Winfield, Jack Clark. There are some huge hitting names out here. We'll probably end up with Claudell Washington again. There's some big ones, but they're all going to go at the beginning. And as far as pitchers go, the only big names, there's really none. Mike Flanagan's out here. Joe Sambito is the top recruit there. Lamar Hoyt. Not a lot of names hardly any that I recognize actually from this period. So we'll see what we end up with. Let's start the draft, and we will go with Montreal getting the first pick again. Fred Lynn, that'll be a nice cog to build around. The Royals are going to take Robin Yount, which, I mean, he's a 3,000 hit guy. He's going to be great. He's not going to have the power that Schmidt has, but he's going to have the average, and he's going to be able to steal bases and just be a great all-arounder for them. The Padres are going to take Joe Sambito. The Brewers take Pedro Guerrero. Keith Hernandez goes to the Phillies, and the Phillies get another one. They get the 5th and 6th picks, so they got Eddie Murray and Keith Hernandez. Wow. John Candelaria goes to Oakland. Winfield to the Orioles. Tigers are going to take John the Count Montefusco. Lynn Barker to the Cubs. Gary Ronicky to the Giants. Mike Krukow to the Yankees. Mike Flanagan goes to the Dodgers. Mike Stanton to the Reds. The pitchers are making a run now. John Bad Dude Stearns. What a name. Did he actually play anything? Okay, played for the Mets. I'm not familiar with him. Atlanta gets Donnie Moore. The Angels take Ellis Valentine. The Astros go get Claudell Washington. Didn't fall to us again. Lamar Hoyt goes to the White Sox. The Red Sox, Pete Falcone. The Mets, Wayne Gross. Ken Kravitz to the Guardians. Jack Clark's still out there. Huh. Why is he still out there? Well, he's not going to be now. We're going to sign him. And then Dick Ruthven. So he can eat up innings, but that's about it. I don't know. On the floor out here. Nah. Okay, we're going to draft Ruthven. We might use him for a compensation pick. Pittsburgh's going to take Gary Ward. And then to wrap out the first round, Dwayne Murphy goes to the Twins. So we'll finish up this draft and meet back at the beginning of the 1973 season. All right, opening day, 1973, and we get to go up against Koufax and the Pirates. Yay. Well, I guess if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So we are going to be sending out Jim Palmer, Bob Gibson, Phil Niekro, Catfish Hunter in our rotation, but that might put Tommy John back in there. Charlie Huff he doesn't have stamina yet, but Jim Bunning's still there for us. So we do have options. We are going to focus a little bit more on defense with some of our choices. When it comes to the lineups, we've got Lou Brock in left. Maury Wills is going to be at second base. Clemente in center again. Tony Perez at first. Gene Tennis at catcher. Ron Say is going to be at third. Cleat Boyer's back in the lineup to play defense at short, and Jesus Alou out and right. Steve Garvey's going to be, his defense is not where we want it to be on any position, so he's going to be platooning, backing up a lot of these guys, getting in. He'll be playing plenty, but just not quite yet to where we need him to be. So when we check at the Hall of Fame voting results, Hoyt Wilhelm, our closer on his first year, was able to get in there with 289 saves, 159 wins, 33 WAR, which is about where he was in reality. Only he had a lot more saves for us. So even with these metrics where he was below everything outside of Jaws, he was able to get in as a reliever, 4-time reliever of the year. Probably could have won more. So good job for Hoyt Wilhelm. And Lino Donoso finally gets in. 263 wins, won a Cy Young, won a Gold Glove, got a few Silver Sluggers, 2,300 strikeouts as well. Notable ones who did not: Bobby Doerr again, Minnie Minoso, Monte Irvin is still on the outside looking in. He was one of ours. I mean, I don't know how he's not in yet. I guess is everything's just not quite there. He was such a key player for us. Leonardo Medina in his first year. Ralph Kiner still has not got him. Whitey Ford was in his first year. Duke Snyder in his first year. So there are plenty of people who are on the outside looking in that might have a shot. Duke Snyder just did not get to where he was in real life, but he was in the era where the hitting had not taken off yet in our game. So maybe that's going to cost him. I don't know that he's going to get in if he has the numbers. We'll find out. But we are getting ready. Now, there is one big change. You will see in the AL, there is now the DH. So the American League, after the horrible hitting the last few seasons, is going to have the DH, and we will see what that does to change things in the American League as the National League remains without it. And we will see, can we track down the Pirates, or will they make it back and dominate the NL East again?
Well, at the All-Star break, things are looking up and up for us as we are sitting 6 games ahead of the Cubs. Something's happened to the Pirates. They're still winning, but us and the Cubs have separated ourselves. The Pirates are not doing what they need to do to return to the World Series, that's for sure. But Koufax is having another amazing season, but has picked up 8 losses, interestingly enough, so they just don't have the hitting. They're kind of going through what we went through in the 60s at times. But things are looking good. We are winning with pitching. We are winning with defense, but we're actually hitting the ball pretty well also. So let's take a look at the other divisions. The Astros are a game and a half up on the Dodgers. The Tigers are just destroying the AL East, and the Red Sox again are just doing fine, but they're not doing well enough to get into first. And the Tigers, who are led by Bill Sudeikis, is having a fantastic season so far. Remember, this is the DH rule. There's Ed Brinkman, not doing much of a DH, but Don Sutton, Fergie Jenkins. No wonder, Gary. No wonder they're winning. They should be. The Angels are 4.5 up on the Twins over in the AL West. Now, when we look at the leaders, Steve Braun is sitting with a .330 batting average. Sudeikis is leading the way with 28 home runs, so the DH is bringing about some changes. He has 71 RBI as well, but his .270 average is not going to be enough for a Triple Crown run. Joe Morgan, once again, pacing the field with a 35 stolen base count. Joe Ferguson has a .954 OPS. Morgan, though, with a 5.3 WAR, besting Ferguson there and Sudeikis. Amos Otis had a 19-game hitting streak, but Ralph Garr is currently on an 18-1. Don Sutton is leading the way with a 2.33 ERA, while Fergie Jenkins and Don Sutton, the two teammates for Detroit, both have 14 wins. Nolan Ryan has 167 strikeouts. His ERA is doing better. His walks are still, but he's getting there for Texas. Oh, did he get drafted by? Oh, that's right. The Senators have moved. I didn't even notice that, but now we have our Texas Rangers instead of the Washington Senators. Frank Lindsay and Pete Richard both have 18 saves, and Burt Blyleven with a 6-pitcher WAR. Again, another stellar season for him. Tony Perez is leading the way in the NL, hitting .353, far better than his .249 of last season. Carew and Zisk are behind. Hank Aaron again with 26 home runs, followed by Bobby Bonds and Reggie Smith. Aaron was 72 RBI as well. That puts him up to 673 home runs. He's going to get close to Mr. Gibson. Lou Brock with 38 stolen bases again. Him and Cedeno are in a tight race here. Tony Perez with a 968 OPS, but 5-1 for Reggie Smith and Cesar Cedeno for batter WAR. Richie Zisk had a 22-game hitting streak. Jim Palmer with a 2.06 ERA. This was his Cy Young winning year. He actually bested Nolan Ryan in a season where Nolan Ryan, I think, had 2 no-hitters and was just fantastic. Jim Palmer actually won the Cy Young in this one. Catfish Hunter is right there as well. Palmer with 18 wins. His teammate Necro, though, is sitting there with 15. Koufax has the lead with 180 strikeouts. Tom Hall with 16 saves, followed by Jim Brewer with 15. And Koufax, no surprise, with a 6.3 pitcher WAR. Now you can see our team. We're scoring runs this time. We're hitting the ball really well. Home runs, though, we don't have the power bats outside of Perez. Tennis and Boyer are doing their things. But that's okay because our pitching is phenomenal and our defense is phenomenal. So that with the getting men on base, we're first in on base percentage. We're second in stolen bases. We're moving around. We're not running the bases real great. But that's okay because we are scoring the runs that we need and the pitching is doing what they need to do. So when we take a look at the all-star teams, in the AL, starting pitching spot's going to go to Don Sutton, with Al Jackson of Cleveland getting the reliever spot, 7 saves, 1.18 ERA. Johnny Bench is there for catcher, which he will be there for a long time. Yaz is in there at first base this season. Joe Morgan at second, no surprise. Steve Braun for Texas. He's hitting .330 at the moment. Darrell Evans for Cleveland at third base. Shortstop goes to Bert Campaneris, who is continuing to do a great job. His stolen bases are continuing to be solid as well. He's up to 329. What did he get? He's far cry from a 649, though. We'll see if he can make a run and get there. And in the outfield, the starters are Willie Stargell, 20 home runs so far. Willie Davis hitting .286. And then Billy Williams, who's making another appearance at the age of 35, doing great to finish out his career. Well, actually, he's still got maybe another 8 years or so. In the NL, Gibson does make it. So does Catfish Hunter. But Koufax, of course, gets the start. Phil Necro, our whole rotation made it. Well done, guys. And then along with Seaver and Matlack, not many. And then Bill Singers is the Cubs representative. Jim Brewer gets to start at closer, thankfully. Earl Williams beats out Jen Tennis, but Earl Williams has 21 home runs, and he's hitting .261, so he should be beating him out probably. Tony Perez at first, no surprise. Rod Carew at second. Richie Hebner at third. Cleat Boyer is back in the all-star lineup, although Wayne Garrett has taken the start, but it's nice to see Boyer doing what he is. He's got a great WAR because his defense is really good. Cesar Cedeno beat out Hank Aaron for the left field spot. Reggie Smith in center, and then Richie Zisk over Bobby Bonds in right field. Zisk is having a great season at the plate, it looks like. What's Bonds' stolen base count? 17. So he's making a push at maybe being another 30-30 season. So that's where we're at going into the back half of the 1973 season, which will hopefully see us in the playoffs again and becoming champions. Well, the season ended off on a good note. The Cubs came storming back. They actually had the lead at one point. It was back and forth the whole season, but we ended up with 104 wins to best the Cubs by 3 games to go up against the Dodgers in the NLCS. Meanwhile, the Tigers won 102 and went up against the White Sox, who made a run to pass the Angels and the Twins both to go into the ALCS. Now, unfortunately for us, when we look at the playoff tree, we went down 3-1 to the Dodgers, who we had bested in the regular season with an 8-4 record. And then in the World Series, in 6 games, the Dodgers took down the White Sox. When we look at the World Series, this was the first time since 1969 that the White Sox have been in, but they have not won a World Series in our simulation. I thought this was going to maybe be the chance that they would get there. But the Dodgers picked up their 5th championship, first one since 1967. They are a force to be reckoned. So Hank Aaron
Getting another World Series. He had a great World Series, but Roy White, by hitting .417, picking up 10 hits, was given the MVP, even though I think Aaron's 9 RBI and 2 home runs might have been more deserving. So they are finally capitalizing on that Killebrew and Aaron and K-line combination again, even though they're all really on the tail end of their careers. They're now winning. I was disappointed that we couldn't get there, but it is, it is what it is. And we finished well, though. Our team finished great as far as all of our places. I'm hopeful for the next season. When we look at the major news, we will see the awards being given out, starting with the Gold Gloves. The AL, it's going to be the Johnnies again, Antonelli and Bench. So they have just been over and over. But Johnny Antonelli is now retired. So he ended up with 287 wins, a 3.82 ERA, and 2,600 strikeouts. In reality, he had 126 wins and 1,100 strikeouts. He did not finish strong in that last 1961 season, but because of 59 and 60, he continued to pitch well the whole way, and now he's going to probably, I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer or not, but he had a solid leading the ERA there in 1972. That one's interesting. Johnny Bench there at catcher, Bob Oliver at first base, Bobby Grich at second, Ed Spezio at third, Campaneris again at short, Jim Wolford, Bill North, and Luis Mendez in the outfield. In the NL, we have Lynn McLaughlin, Clay Dalrymple, Joe Adcock yet again, but on his final season where he hit 27 home runs. He went nuts after 2 lackluster seasons. He just took over for the Cubs again to end up with 626 home runs, 3,200 hits, 1,900 RBI, 1,700 runs. In reality, he was far less than that, 336 home runs. So again, it's that last 3 seasons, he just kept going because I didn't have development turned on. So keep that in mind. If you ever want to run your own, it might be worth having the development, unless you like seeing them play at this high level for the rest of the time. So will he have he will have a shot. He's got the gray ink. It'll be interesting if he can get in or not. It kind of depends on the field. Brooks Robinson yet again at second for the champion Dodgers. Dennis Minke, Bud Harrelson at short, Cesar Cedeno in left. Clemente gets another one in center for us. Bob Coluccio in right field for the Expos. AL reliever of the year unanimously goes to the White Sox Doug Bird, who had 24 saves, 101 strikeouts, 2.04 ERA. In the NL, Jim Brewer got it for us with his 22 saves, 2.51 ERA. In the AL, the Silver Sluggers are going to Joe Ferguson, Cliff Johnson, Joe Morgan, Bob Bailey, Don Kessinger, Willie Stargell, Rick Monday, Billy Williams, and at designated hitter for the first time, Ralph Garr, who hit .325 and had 38 stolen bases as well. In the NL, Reggie Cleveland at pitcher, Earl Williams, Tony Perez for us, hitting 24 home runs, .332 average. Rod Carew at second. Well, we're going to have to go see the final results of the standings there. We forgot to check out who were the league leaders and if Perez got that batting title or not. Richie Hebner at .321, 19 home runs at third base. Wayne Garrett for the Mets at shortstop. Left field goes to Cesar Cedeno, Reggie Smith at center, and Richie Zisk in right. Rookie of the year goes to Johnny Grubb at 10 votes to 7. As far as first place votes, lots of first place votes all over the place for these teams. But Johnny Grubb with 7 home runs, 43 RBIs, and a .334 average was what took it in 55 runs. So this is just not a strong rookie class. In the NL, Bob Coluccio beat out Darryl Porter, then Jeff Burrows. Only 3 rookies getting any votes. So again, not a real strong rookie class for either one of these. And the Cy Young in the AL goes by 21 first place votes to 3. Don Sutton picks it up with a 2.43 ERA and 21 wins, beating out Blyleven, who we'll see if he ended up getting the pitcher war or was the best one there. Jim Palmer, just like in real life, takes the crown for Cy Young. 25-8 record, 171 strikeouts, and a 2
ERA, beating out teammate Catfish Hunter, who had 21 wins. Far fewer walks as well. Koufax had one first place vote, 2.66 ERA, 17-13 with 256 strikeouts. But it was not his time. In the AL, the MVP, again, lots of first place votes. Don Sutton getting 4 down here. One for Burt Blyleven even. But Bill Sudeikis hitting 38 home runs, 106 RBI, 279 average is going to get the award after last season. He bounced back to pick up the MVP. NL goes to Cesar Cedeno beating out Tony Perez. So Cedeno with 29 home runs, 102 RBI, 291 average, 110 runs, and 47 stolen bases. I'd say that's a well-deserved MVP, even though Perez had a fine year as well. Jim Palmer picked up 2. So let's check out before we go to the draft. Let's see what the final numbers were. Batting title in the AL goes to Ralph Garr at 325. Sudeikis with 38 home runs. Luzinski with 108 RBI. Bill North with 48 stolen bases beat out Joe Morgan by 1. Willie Stargell with a 9.53 OPS. Bobby Grich with a 7.9 WAR. This has dropped quite a bit to have the leaders only in the 7s. That's been unusual for this simulation. Ralph Garr with a 27-game hitting streak. That was a really good one. That must be what he continued off of at mid-season. Don Sutton led the way with a 2.43 ERA by quite a bit. Also 21 wins, but it was Nolan Ryan with 268 strikeouts taking the strikeout crown. Steve Carlton showing up again as well. Pete Richard with 31 saves. No one's really getting above that 30-ish mark yet. Burt Blyleven with a 9.4 pitcher WAR. He just continues to dominate. He's doing well, so we'll see. He's only 22 years old. If only we could trade for him. But one thing to keep in mind is I think free agency's coming up in just a couple of seasons, and that could blow up a lot of rosters there if the free agency does take hold. Tony Perez did get the batting title at 332. Hank Aaron, the home run crown at 43 home runs to bring his total up to 690. Now, in reality, he had 3 seasons left, and they were solid-ish when it comes to home runs, not so much. So this next season will be telling if he's going to be able to get to that 755 or not. RBIs go to Aaron as well at 113. Lou Brock with 55 stolen bases. Joe Adcock with a 9.26 OPS, barely besting Tony Perez. Cedeno with a 7.5 WAR, which again is low compared to what we have seen. Richie Zisk with a 22-game hitting streak. And in the pitching categories, Palmer led the way in earned run average with a 2. 25 wins with 20 paces the way as well, but he only had 171 strikeouts. Well, Tom Seaver bested Koufax with 260 strikeouts to 256. Tom Hall picked up 30 saves for the Cubs, and Koufax with an 8.7 pitcher WAR, which is a little low by his standards, even though it's his 4th straight one. But after the last 2 seasons, it's kind of disappointing for him, I'm sure. This guy's going to just set untouchable records potentially, unless Ryan comes along on the strikeouts. We'll find out. When it comes to first-year player draft, I will show you the top prospects. This is a rather thin draft. Lonnie Smith, Dale Murphy, Willie Wilson. Not a lot out there. Rick Sutcliffe is in this one. I'll show you maybe some others. We got Dennis Martinez, who I'd like to get because I know we'll have a solid pitcher for us. Pete Vukovic is out there. I said Sutcliffe because I want him so he can be our announcer later. And there's not a lot else that I see out there. 2 McLaughlins here. And as far as hitters go, you got Dale Murphy, Willie Wilson, and then there's just not a lot. So Gary Templeton, there's someone solid to play for. But outside of that, there's not a lot of people, so we're going to see how things go. We are drafting last because we had the best record, and so there's not going to be much for us at all. So we're going to see, does Montreal take Martinez like they did in reality? Nope. Dale Murphy goes to Montreal, but don't they already have Gary Carter? Interesting.
Milwaukee, the Brewers are going to take Lonnie Smith. Padres take Willie Hernandez. The Royals, Rance Malinix. The Reds take Lance Big Wheel Parrish. The Yankees get Bill Caudill. Number 7 goes to Larry McWilliams to the Phillies. The Orioles are going to take Dennis Martinez at 8. Lee Mazzilli for the Giants. The Rangers get Vukovic. The Red Sox take Willie Wilson. Mark Clear for the Mets. The A's get David Clyde. The Twins, Dave Geisel. Fred Braining to the Braves. The Astros take Ellis Valentine. The Pirates, Lamar Hoyt. Rick Sutcliffe goes to the Angels. The Dodgers, Steve Henderson. Ed Whitson for the White Sox. Cleveland takes Tom Dixon. Roy Smalley to the Angels. The White Sox take Shane Rowley. Tom Brennan to the Cubs. Rod Scurry to the Tigers. And to finish out this first round, do we take Gary Templeton? I really do think that's probably our best bet. He was a Cardinal for real life as well during the early 80s and late 70s before going off to San Diego. He's not stellar, but I don't know what else is out here really. Jim Morrison maybe, but we already have plenty of third basemen and first basemen with Ron Say and Steve Garvey. I don't think we're going to need anybody there. We have Dave Concepcion at short, but Templeton's still a little bit away. There's nobody out here that really makes me. So I do think we will take Templeton. Not a bad pick. And we will go through the end of this draft so we can pick up at the beginning of the 1974 season. Opening day is here, and we are going up against the strong Pittsburgh Pirates led by Sandy Koufax yet again, who's just going to be tough to beat. But we've got our Cy Young winner, Jim Palmer, going up against him. So our lineup to kick off the 1974 season is Jim Palmer at the top of the rotation. Tommy John's taking over for Gibson. Gibson might come back in. Phil Necro, Catfish Hunter. That is our rotation. Nobody's got a lot of stuff, but they got good control and movement, so we'll see how things go there. Jim Brewer is going to be our stopper or closer at the end. Charlie Huff's looking better. Jim Bunning's still around at setup. Pedro Bourbon, Jim Bibby, and then also, again, we have Bob Gibson back here in the bullpen, who he might be making an appearance or two into the starting rotation as well. It would not surprise me. Our main lineup against righties is going to be Lou Brock, Dave Concepcion, Roberto Clemente in center, Tony Perez at first. Steve Garvey is backing him up. I shopped Steve Garvey around. I almost traded for Steve Carlton, but I didn't really have a spot for him in the rotation necessarily, so I didn't want to just backlog the team even more. So Garvey's there in case something happens and Perez needs a spell or anything. Dave Parker is going to make his debut for us. He came out for 15 games last season at the end, but now he's going to be starting in right against righties. Lou Piniella is going to start in right against lefties. Gene Tennis at catcher, Ron Say at third, and Cleet Boyer at shortstop. So that's the lineup that we have going. When we look at the Hall of Fame inductees, we will see, I've deleted them from mine. Where is our Hall? There we go. So the Hall of Fame voting results. Bobby Doerr finally gets in after playing for the Cubs, the Browns, Baltimore, with 1,700 RBI, 300 home runs, 3,600 hits, 1,700 runs. He led the league in OPS in his last season. This is, I'm going to guess, another one. Yes, he had another 12 years in real life, but he finished with 3 good seasons, and so that continued to roll and add to his totals by quite a bit. But congratulations there to Bobby. The other one is our man, Minnie Mignoso, getting in there into the Hall of Fame after leading the league in runs and hits and plate appearances and triples and stolen bases, doing a little bit of everything. WAR, he won an MVP, he won a Gold Glove, lots of All-Star appearances and Silver Sluggers. Even got a World Series MVP after winning 2 championships in the 50s for us. So we were, or no, not for us. I'm sorry. He wasn't our guy. I'm getting him mixed up with Monty Irvin. So yeah, we did not get Minnie Mignoso. So, but he is going to pick up a couple of titles there for Washington, for the Senators. And his totals, we'll see how this goes. So with 2,600 hits, 1,100 RBIs, 1,500 runs. Way fewer there. Will he come back in the 80s? 1,900 hits, 1,100 runs, but he didn't have the same chance as he did because of the color barrier, so he got started a little earlier in our simulation. So that's where we are heading into the opening day. The Pirates, they still have Koufax. They don't have Marichal. He's moving to the bullpen for them. They still have McCovey. They still have Frank Robinson, Pete Rose, Jim Wynn, Bill Buckner. They're going to be a tough team to beat. The Cubs, who were up here last time, they've got Bobby Bonds and Dusty Baker, Cesar Cedeno, Steve Busby, Jim Rooker again. So we'll see what happens here as we get to the All-Star break. Well, this is one of those magical seasons again. I don't know what has happened other than we are hitting the ball phenomenally this season. And the pitching's great as well. And we've reeled off like 8 wins in a row, 10 wins in a row. And we're sitting at 72-25. I don't know what has happened to the competition, but the Padres are up a game. It's much tighter. Anybody can make a run in the NL West, but the NL East, I don't know how we're winning all these games, but I will take it. We don't strike them out, but it's our defense, our runs scored, our ERA is great. We hit the ball well. Our home runs are up a little bit. In the AL, will the Red Sox be able to hold on this time, or will the Brewers or Orioles catch them? We'll find out. The Angels are 5.5 up over the Royals, but they blew it last time. The White Sox, I don't know if they're going to be able to make the run or not. So will the Angels be able to hold on as well? When we look at the leaders so far at the midway point, Willie Stargell is hitting .341 for Texas. Mike Schmidt, 22 home runs, his first time appearing on these, and he's probably going to be up there quite a bit. Dick Allen with 78 RBIs is making a return to the RBI lead here for Boston, driving them back up. Joe Morgan with 40 stolen bases at the midway point. That is crazy. 1974, how many he had? 58, and he's already up to 40. So will he surpass that, or will he just level off? Stargell with a 1.002 OPS. Joe Morgan with a 5.4, along with Reggie Jackson with 5.4 batter WAR. Jackson's hitting .304 with 18 home runs. Dave Cash has 23-game hitting streak. Paul Splitorf with a 2.27 ERA, beating out Dobson and Blyleven. Steve Carlton, maybe we should have traded for him. 13 wins. Nolan Ryan with 180 strikeouts. One thing that's more impressive about these ERAs now in the AL especially is with the designated hitter rule. They are now having that extra hitter going up there. Randy Moffett with 20 saves already. I'm sure that will level out to like 32. And Burt Blyleven with a 6.1 WAR leading the way again. There's Big Jim Cat. We traded him away a long time ago for Lou Brock. It's good to see him making a leaderboard. He's having a good career. He did well for us also, but we had the ability to do that, and Lou Brock has been well worth the trade, I believe. But good for him. In the NL, Roberto Clemente is hitting .365. He's up to 3,400 hits, almost 3,500. He's hitting .307 for his career. He's led the league in batting. He's won the batting title 4 times. He's about to do it for a 5th potentially. Will he make a run at a 3rd MVP is the question. In home runs, Willie McCovey has 23. Perez is back up there. So is Hank Aaron, who hit number 700. Mickey Mantle did as well. And look at this. Mickey Mantle, OPS. He's back up there. Having a good year at 42 years old. Lou Brock with 38 stolen bases. And Dave Concepcion, the two leading off our lineup, are both leading the way in stolen bases. Clemente with OPS, much lower than the AL, though. Batter WAR is 5.1 for Clemente again. And he had a 28-game hitting streak. When it comes to ERA, both Tommy John and Jim Palmer are tied at 2.41, with Koufax right behind at 2.45. We are leading the way in wins, which makes sense with 72. 17, 15, and 14 for John, Palmer, and Hunter. Jim Matlack with 154 strikeouts is leading teammate Tom Seaver and Koufax. Jim Brewer with 19 saves is tied with Mike Marshall of the Braves. And Koufax, yet again, surprise, surprise, with a 5.4 pitcher WAR. When we look at the all-star teams, Blyleven gets the start for the AL. Terry Forster for Boston gets the closer spot. Johnny Bench gets the catcher. Dick Allen at first, along with Boog Powell. Joe Morgan at second. Campaneris at third. Shortstop goes to Bob Bailey. Stargell in the left. Willie Davis in center. And Reggie Jackson in right. Stargell, lots of home runs being hit this season. Dick Allen is just having a great season here in 74. He did have a really good season as well. He's just quietly putting together fantastic career. And look at this. He's already going to make the Hall of Fame. Good for him. In the NL, Bob Gibson gets the start with a 1.42 ERA, so they're giving it to him even though he's pitched 12 2/3 innings. He's getting the start at starting pitcher. Tommy John's in there as well. Koufax gets it as also. Oh, so he's getting it for reliever. He's just listed as a starter still. Necro Palmer also made it into the rotation. Gene Tennis gets to start at catcher. Good job, Gene. 14 home runs, even though he's hitting 222, and his defense isn't the best. He's in there for his bat. 3-2 WAR, though. Tony Perez at first. Rod Carew at second. Richie Hebner again at third. Cleat Boyer again at short. 2-time All-Star. And it's just been the last two at 36-37. So he's not in those gold gloves he's done. Will he have a shot? No, he's not going to have a shot at the Hall. Yeah, I mean, we're near the numbers or leading anything. But he's had a solid career for us. I'm so glad we had him and his brother. Hank Aaron in left. Yet again, Clemente in center again, and Reggie Smith in right. Now, I do want to take a moment to take a look at Willie Mays, who retired. Let's see what he ended up with. Look at this, all these awards and everything. Crazy. 3,800 hits, 2,200 runs, 2,300 RBIs, 697 home runs, and 362 stolen bases, a 172 WAR. When we see how that stacks up, he had 2,000 runs, 3,200 hits, so he did way better in those categories. He also bested himself by 37 home runs, more RBI, right around the same number of stolen bases. He did do better in WAR as well. When we look at his metrics, this is just crazy good. He was a 7-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 9 Gold Gloves, 9 Silver Sluggers, and a 17-time All-Star selection before going into the Hall of Fame for them. Only winning, he did not win a title, though. No World Series. The Reds could not put it together, even though they had Mays, and at times they made the playoffs. They were not able to get over the top. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out, and hopefully we don't blow it in the playoffs this season. Well, the season ended out phenomenally for us. 26 games, 114 wins, 48 losses. We went up against the Dodgers yet again in the NLCS looking for revenge. 81-81. They finished with a 500 record in a close race, but man, not very good. We had lots of success. You can see we'll come back to these guys in a little bit. The Red Sox holding on to the AL East by 7 games with 92 wins, going up against the Angels, who held on, 98 wins. Now, when we go to the playoffs, it didn't go well. We won the first 2 games, and the Dodgers came back to win the next 3 to beat us again. And then they went on to win their second straight World Series title. Now, I want to go look at the League Championship Series because we beat them 11 times in the regular season. You look at the run total. You look at the pitching. We were by far the better team. We win the first 2. We barely lose the 3rd game. Then we get stomped in the 4th and the 5th. It was just so sad. But, you know, it was what it was. The Angels swept the Red Sox, got to World Series. The Dodgers, it was 1-1, and then the Dodgers just took over in this California series. It was the, second trip to the playoffs for the Angels. Back-to-back years, still looking for that title. But the Dodgers picked up their 6th title, 2nd in a row. They are going out with a bang. Hank Aaron's continuing to do well. Al Kaline did retire, I noticed. So Kaline has retired. We look at what he ended up with for them. 1,900 runs, 3,400 hits, 1,500, basically 1,600 RBI, 428 home runs, a 94 WAR. And we see how that stacks up. 102 WAR in real life, so he was low there. 400 or 399, so he had more home runs. Basically the same number of RBI. 1,600. He had way more runs. It's probably because he was hitting in Hank Aaron and Harmon Killebrew's lineup, so they were knocking him in a lot. But he won lots of Gold Gloves. He won an MVP. He should be a Hall of Famer. He's right on the border on some of these, but hopefully he'll get in 6 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers, 5 championships, starting in 1955, 57, 67, 73, and 74. So the Dodgers have had their run here in the 50s and such. We got to figure out how we're going to take them out. Now, in other news, Bob Gibson retired for us. So we have lost Gibson. He retires with 264 wins, 3.02 ERA. Apparently he didn't like coming out of the bullpen. 3,400 strikeouts and 88 WAR, as opposed to 3,100 strikeouts and 91 WAR and 251 wins, 6 saves. So I was hoping he'd have another year or two and he'd kind of capitalize on this and he could be out of the bullpen. Apparently he said, no, I'm done, retired at 38. And so he wanted to keep starting games. But he should be a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. He did win a Rookie of the Year. He won 2 Cy Youngs. Would have been more if it weren't for the fact that Koufax was also been dominating. Now, when we look at the league leaders and such, Willie Stargell hit 333 for the batting crown. He also hit 35 home runs and 130 RBI. So Willie Stargell getting the Triple Crown in 1974. He had a solid season that year as well. In reality, Dick Allen had another good year, finishing second in most of those categories as well. Joe Morgan had 62 stolen bases, along with a 323 average and 20 home runs and 122 runs scored. I think people don't realize how good Joe Morgan really was sometimes. When you look at the mid-70s here, look at the WAR, 9-4, 9-1, 8-4, 10, and 9-4, all in this stretch for the Big Red Machine. He was stealing bases. He was getting on base. These over 400 OPS on base percentages. His OPS plus is amazing. The guy was phenomenal. Then we've got, where else are we? OPS, Willie Stargell breaking 1,000. Joe Morgan with an 8.3 WAR. Hitting streak goes to Dave Cash. It's going to be interesting to see if Joe Morgan beats out Stargell, even though Stargell won the Triple Crown. It'd be kind of like DiMaggio beating out Ted Williams for the MVP on the year Williams hit 400. Dave Cash, 23 games. Roger Morit with a 2.23 ERA for Oakland, just kind of out of nowhere for him. Steve Carlton with 20 wins. Maybe we do need him for the push for the playoffs because we're struggling there. Nolan Ryan with 282 strikeouts, way ahead. Randy Moffett with 33 saves. I told you he'd level out. And Blyleven with a 9 WAR again. Maybe we need to get him if we can. Steve Garvey's our trade bait because Perez is still doing great, and him and Garvey and Say, they're all kind of overlapping. And we have Jack Clark. Or no, Clark's the outfielder. Clemente, 381, getting the batting title. That is his best season thus far. Getting another batting title, 227 hits, leading the league, 113 runs to lead the league, 12 triples to lead the league as well. Could this be an MVP year for him? Willie McCovey had 34 home runs. Perez was up there with 27. Also 104 RBIs. The only one to get 100 RBI in the NL, Tony Perez. Ron Say was right behind him. Lou Brock with 62 stolen bases. Concepcion with 58. So Brock is up to 516 stolen bases now. Joe Morgan is up to 436. He got started a little bit later. But Brock still has the speed, so we're hoping he can continue to add to those numbers the next couple of years. Clemente had a 977 OPS, way better than the rest. Rod Carew with a 9 WAR, barely beating out Clemente, and Jim Wynn's back up there. Even though he hit 233, it's the power numbers, and I'm guessing the defense. Clemente with a 28-game hitting streak held up. Koufax at 1.88 ERA. He was back. Catfish Hunter came in second, though. Tommy John and Catfish Hunter were 25 and 23 wins. Seaver in third. Koufax had 237 strikeouts. He only won 17 games. Matlack and Seaver were right behind him. Those teammates for the Mets, they just don't give the defense a chance by striking everybody out. Jim Brewer with 33 saves. This seems to be the top level people can get to. But Koufax with a 10-1 WAR. When we look at the awards for the season, we will see Gold Gloves go to Claude Austin because our other Johnny retired. Johnny Bench is there. George Scott, Woody Woodward at second. Mike Schmidt, first of many at third. Mark Bellinger for the Yankees at short. Jim Ferry in left. Bill North in center. And Lenny Randall at right field. The NL goes to Don Rose at pitcher. Clay Dalrymple again at catcher. Ed Goodson at first. Brooks Robinson at second. I mean, the defense, I guess, was what they needed in the playoffs. Ken McMullen in third. Bud Harrelson for the Astros at short. Bob Coluccio in left. Jim Wynn at center. And Richie Zisk again for Atlanta in right. AL reliever of the year in the AL is Terry Forster with 22 first place votes over Doug Bird. 18-9 with 16 saves, 120 strikeouts, 2.71 ERA, 119 innings pitched, moving from starter to bullpen. Brewer gets it unanimously again, picking up his third reliever of the year, 2 in a row. We'll hope he can make 3 next time. Silver Sluggers in the AL go to Fran Healy, Dick Allen, Joe Morgan, Darrell Evans, Bob Bailey, Willie Stargell, Bake McBride. What a name. Reggie Jackson. And then the DH was Carlton Fisk, not at catcher. Who do they have playing catcher, if not Fisk? Oh, they have Johnny Bench. Oh, they have Johnny Bench and Carlton Fisk. What a problem to have. Maybe they should trade one of those away to me. They won't, but it'd be nice. I need a catcher because Tennis can hit. He can't field, though. When we go back to the NL, we have Jim Rooker. Gene Tennis, like I said, he can hit 25 home runs, 5.6 WAR, but the average isn't there. Tony Perez at first. Rod Carew at second. Sal Bondo again. Jay Johnstone. Jose Cardinal. Roberto Clemente in center, and Richie Zisk again in right. AL Rookie of the Year unanimously goes to Jorge Orta. 316, 17 home runs, 78 RBI, 471 slugging. Second baseman as well. NL goes to Dave Parker, our man. 21 first place votes. He hit 9 home runs, 70 RBIs, 281. He only started 120 games because Pinella was starting against lefties. Struck out a little bit too much, but he's going to get better, so we are okay with that. Ron Dunn picked up the other 2 first place votes for the Cubs. Cy Young Award winner goes to Burt Blyleven, finally getting his due unanimously for the Twins. 2.83 ERA, 239. We saw he led the league in WAR. Sutton was second. Luis Tiant still going, just like his father did for us. Cy Young goes unanimously back to Koufax, picking up, I don't know, that's so many to count. What does he have? 8 Cy Youngs now, and he's not slowing down. I should have had player development on, or I should have traded for him somehow, but they never gave him up. Joe Morgan gets the MVP unanimously, beating out the Triple Crown winner, who finished third behind Reggie Jackson. Wow. And then we have Clemente getting it. Koufax picked up 1, but Clemente hitting 381, leading the league there, gets the MVP. Now, when we look at the first-year player draft, we're going to be picking last again. There's not a lot here. Lee Smith had marked because he was a closer for the Cardinals for a while. Not a lot of other names here at the top. When we look at the hitters, you've got the Hawk Andre Dawson. Lou Whitaker's up there. And then it just kind of drops a lot. So I don't know who we're going to end up with, if it's anybody worth anything or not. So let's go through, and I'm going to guess Dawson goes first, but we'll find out. Milwaukee, first pick goes to Mario Soto. The Phillies take Lee Smith. Cleveland's going to take Keith Moreland. Why is nobody taking Dawson in the first 5 or 6? Lou Whitaker goes to the Padres. The Expos take Al Holland. Willie Hernandez to the Reds. Oh, it took a little bit longer. Pick number 7, Andre Dawson, goes to the White Sox. Yankees take Willie Upshaw. Jim Beattie to the Padres. Don Robinson to the Giants. The A's take Bryn Smith. Braves Jason Thompson. Frank Pastore to the Astros. Carney Lansford to the Tigers. The Royals, Ed Whitson. Denny Walling to the Mets. Ken Oberkfell to the Dodgers. Randy Neiman to the Orioles. The Cubs have Juan Senor Smoke Berenger. Minnesota takes Mike Lacoste. The White Sox, Pat Putnam. The Pirates, Bo McLaughlin. Willie Aikens to the Rangers. The Red Sox get Dave Stapleton. Clint Hurdle to the Angels. And we have nobody left. There's just not many people out here. We could use a catcher. Rick Cerrone. He can't hit, but we need somebody back there eventually. Damasio Garcia maybe at second, but I feel like we're good at second. I don't know. There's nobody really here. This might be a case. I mean, Tim Stoddard. I think we're going to draft him. Hopefully he doesn't want much, and we'll be able to get some compensation picks. So want to thank you for joining me on this one. We'll wrap this one up here, and we will pick back up with the 1975 season. I think free agency is approaching in a year or two, so let's be ready for that. That could shake things up a lot from here on there.